Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's video. Really excited to share the topic and discussion we've got ready for you. We're talking about building a team, adding in A players, and hiring and thinking about hiring when it comes to kicking off 2022 and beyond. So with that, before we dive into everything that we've got ready for you, excited to share with you some guests I have on with me today. Anna and Oxana, co-founders at ScaleJet. So before we dive in, Anna, if you want to give a little bit about a background about you, so we can help to get to know a little bit more about you.
So, hi everyone. Thanks for having us, Troy. Really, it's an honor to be here today and also to congratulate everyone on the holiday season and on the new year as well. We do hope and wish you guys to have both instant growth, scale in your business in this year. Not only this, but let your all personal goals be achieved. So, to start with, uh, some information about ourselves. We with Oxana at present are co-founders of ScaleJet, which is the HR partner agency for e-commerce. We've been working on executive positions with top 700 Amazon business for the past 7 years. Years for the past 5 years. And we've been successfully growing those businesses, scaling their teams. For example, one of our clients moved from 17 million revenue to almost 13 million in years. And a player team that for him was definitely one of the key factors and the foundation that allowed such a fantastic growth. Having seen such amazing results, we have truly understood that our expertise in building top performing remote teams is really unique. And that's how we started our agencies with ScaleJet. And over that time, we've been happy to help multiple e-commerce businesses to hire those A players and to get their businesses to the next level. So
Excellent.
This is how it all started.
Wonderful and great to hear. And then you've started both as co-founders. So Oksana, if you want to share a little bit too about your background and starting ScaleJet.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. As Anna shared, I've been an executive on a 7 numbers Amazon business. And the main benefit that I am seeing for the businesses in their competition is actually people. We have great companies with great products, but if you go really into the core, it's always about people. People are building great businesses. And understanding that, I understood that, yeah, we actually have this unique skill of bringing people together, finding those perfect matches, building teams, and we can expand with our expertise, helping other companies to achieve their amazing success. So, yeah.
Excellent. That's something now you're passionate about as a service provider for really seeking out and finding those A players specific for e-commerce businesses and e-commerce specific needs, right?
Exactly.
And so I think a good place to start in terms of some of the questions I have when you think about finding those people, where those A players are, what is a good starting place? You know, if I am running a brand, bringing a brand online, thinking about, I want to either value my time or I see a specific need. What's one of the best ways or best approaches when it comes to seeking out and finding those A players?
Yeah, so I'm gonna take a lead on this one. To begin with, we always should start with why, right? So what do you want to do? This is the key thing to start with. So what are your realistic goals? 3 to 4 key goals for the year. So you always start with the goals. Like, what do you want to achieve, right? In any area of your life, let it be business, let it be personal, you need to have the goal. So examples of the goals, right? What that could be. You want to increase your revenue by X%, or you want to launch a new market, or you want to like work more on your brand presence. Do you have the vision of what exactly that means to you, right? So if you want to win over the competition, on which marketplace exactly is that, on which market geographically is that, so what exactly do you want to see? Or example of a personal goal, you want to go on a dream vacation with your family, maybe with your kids. We all have those personal goals and things that we do want to do. But for that, we need, of course, when we manage business, we need time, right? And time is really precious. In order to have that goal, in order to have the time, you need people in place who, professional people in place, who will be achieving all those things with you, being a part of your team. So basically, to summarize, the first thing for you to do when you are considering, okay, I probably should be hiring people. That's not the right way to do it. First, you always start with the goals. So what exactly do you want your business to achieve this year? And then based on that, we will go to the next steps, right? So then you will be seeing the path, like you will need to have on board in order to make it happen. So take some time to reflect on this. It's not an easy one. It's not a fast one. Everything starts with a foundation. So take your time, think of it, and then you will be able to proceed with the next steps. So I think Sana, can share also more about this.
Yeah, so basically, it is great because in this period of the year, most of us are making some reflections, projections towards the next year, towards the end of the year. And when we are taking this approach, many of us, many of business owners are reflecting on the people structure that we want to have for our business. Why is this important, having this business people structure? I can't even share enough how important is this, because it will make your business streamlined. Instead of addressing the fires all the time, you strategize, you plan ahead. As we already shared, it's not possible to scale without having people on board, right? People, efficient team members. So what's the tip here? What's the great way to approach this? So ask yourself questions. For example, what are the things that you as a business leader are still doing that you shouldn't be doing? Actually, a business leader should be working on the strategy, working on connecting dots, and on the things that he really loves doing and is great at. For example, some business leaders enjoy sourcing products. They are all about that. Some of them enjoy marketing. That's fine. Leave this area to yourself. But if this is not that you're like really great at, you should put this in your business structure as the area that you would like to delegate in some time. Maybe not now, but projecting to the future. And once you project to the future, you will go there for sure. So, okay, some other great questions that you might note for yourself. For example, what are the business areas that you would like to develop from scratch next year or to improve? Some that are failing. This will bring you some idea of what you're missing. Another one, which is a great one, I believe, what are the fires or issues that are happening regularly in your business? That means that you are missing some root cause of it. And oftentimes, this is a people issue, meaning that you are lacking a professional in that place, or maybe you are underestimating the skill that is needed for this. Having those answers, you will be able to draft that structure for your business and see what are the key puzzle pieces that are missing in your team. And that's where the great hire is starting. That's exactly the point. Only after that, you can draft the plan of your hires for the whole year ahead. You may think of your resources better. You may make better budgeting. You can avoid mistakes down the way. Of course, this is flexible. You can change because business is business. Things are happening. But approaching this in the beginning in the right way will save you a lot of money and time. So
absolutely. Makes sense. Makes sense. And when I hear you convey in terms of identifying needs and also thinking about and game planning your goals, I think about the concept of sort of beginning with the end in mind. What are your business objectives that really help to clarify what types of good questions to answer or to have answered, and that can show up in terms of how you're building your team, what A players you're adding for which roles, which does kind of lead me to a question that comes to mind of, once you do those sequence of steps, once you needs and areas of impact that really will positively have you progressing towards your goals, that last step of what that A player, who that is, or their title, what are some ways or maybe even questions that you can ask that really clarify this is that A player for this need or goal?
I absolutely love this question because you kind of nailed it. Who is that person that will achieve that goal? This is how we should approach. I often share, define the position first, not the person. What are the main areas that the person will be accountable for? And also, how does the success looks like for you as a business leader? Okay, what are the things that need to happen for this position to be successful? And what are the things that just cannot happen? And having this in mind, you will be able to define the position. Like, forget about job description, forget about experience, all these things. We can go to that later. But the things that really define the position, how does the success look like? For example, I would like to share a story here. We've been talking to one of our clients. He came to us saying, hey, guys, can you please help me? I would like to hire a supply chain manager for my Amazon business. And it's absolutely crucial that the person has 3 years of experience in Amazon. And we entered into a dialogue, kind of asking what's all about, what the position is. And we wrote down a lot of things, like the person should be able to do shipping labels, all these kind of stuff. But at the end, it becomes more and more messy. And we ask the question that we ask all our clients. We ask our friend, okay, tell us, please, what is the one thing that if this person achieves it in a year from now, you could say it was the best hire I could ever accomplish, because we want this to happen with every client that we have. And the business owner shares with us, well, he thought, and I said, well, guys, what I really want is that my cost of goods cuts 10%. And why is that? I really want to have new trustworthy suppliers. So, okay, now we are talking. Now we are talking, because all the skill, 3 years on Amazon, all these nice stuff, of course, this is important, maybe, but this is the goal. This is the objective that we want to achieve with this position. And understanding this objective, okay, now we can draft the whole stuff. Understanding this person needs to have amazing negotiation skills. This person needs to have experience working with certain suppliers on a certain market where we are sourcing, and so on and so forth. And now this sounds like, yes, this is it. We defined who we need to hire finally. So you see how this is all linked together, from you understanding your goal towards the person that we need to find.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes tons of sense. And I think one of the underlying messages that I think that you're touching on too is that as a business owner, you sort of have to give yourself the task of being very specific of, we've gone from business goals to now identifying a role and then goals for that role, to make sure that you know what success looks like. And it is sort of a sobering, honest look at, now that you've identified this, what does that specifics look like? What is truly a perfect picture 6 months, a year down the road for hiring that A player, what does success look like for them? And so, and again, I know a lot of FBA sellers brands coming online, maybe first-time business owners, maybe not accustomed to having to make those big decisions. And the truth is, when it comes to hiring, you have the potential for your greatest asset or potentially your greatest liability, because you have there's so much potential investment, but there's so much potential upside when it comes to finding those right people. And you mentioned, Oxana, it's definitely a question I have in terms of mistakes, something I want to make sure I ask you. But before we do that, let's say we've gone through this process. We've been prudent as a business owner. We've defined our goals. We understand our needs. We even understand the roles and what success looks like for them. How do we attract these people that can align with meeting our expectations for hiring? How do we really earn and get in front of and welcome and potentially onboard those A players?
So actually, if we are talking about the hiring process itself, from A to Z, there are three main stages that we can expand on. So the first stage we touched a little bit about understanding how the success for the positions for the position looks like, and then defining the person who will be able to achieve this business goal, hard skills, experience, soft skills. It's very important also to understand your core values as a business, so the person shares those core values. All these things laid down will have this great foundation to start looking for. And then the question is, where do I look for? So our world right now has changed a lot. We've been lucky because we've been in remote businesses for years now, more than 5 years. At that time, this wasn't really common to look outside your town, not even country. But now you have a tremendous opportunity hiring on a different market. So another question to ask yourself: what's the market that you would like to go for? And we do help our clients, friends, customers with defining that market. But definitely you can think from that perspective as well. I think, Anna, you have something to share here for sure.
Yeah, sure. I would love to elaborate on this one. So the world is global. It's a fact for quite some time already. Absolutely, it's not anything new. But there are also like some checkpoints for yourself once you're approaching remote hiring that you really need to think of. They're very simple, but very important to think of them as well. So, for example, when you're considering the markets to hire, which you definitely should be doing, you need to approach this in terms of pricing, of course, value that you're getting for this money, and also in terms of your current processes. So pricing, it's quite simple, right? So this includes salary and tax system in the company where you want to hire these people in whatever type of employment you're considering. So nowadays, subcontractor, for example, form is super popular among any, like, let's say, yeah, among different types of businesses. And for example, some countries offer very generous conditions for such type of cooperation. For example, in Eastern Europe, the tax in some countries is 5%. I mean, if you compare this to some other countries, it's much lower, right? So you definitely would want to consider such this area as well, but not. We never do the choice depending on the price, correct? So we still are first and outmost thinking of the value that we are going to have and of the quality of the work delivered, right? So another good and great news here is that the world has been like this for quite some time. And it's been global already, so people from different countries has been also working in different areas as well, and they already have expertise, and thanks God, people are speaking English all over the world as well. So you have quite a big labor market open to you at the moment, where you really can be choosing. It also depends on your, as previously shared, processes and on the position as well. So if the position implies that the person should be in touch in specific hours during the day by the specific time zone, you also should be considering this. Or if you have your like team, let's say marketing team, in the USA, right? And you're also working for the person to be cooperating during the whole working day with the team. Then you also obviously need to hire in the United States. Basically, these are three core things that you will really need to be considering when thinking of, okay, where to go. I'm choosing, right? So here is my need, and what is the best play where I can get the best thing at the best value of money. And this is how you also, from the operational point of view, this is how you also win the competition, right? So if you can have the same great product at a different market and save some costs in terms of, I don't know, taxes, or just it also happens that the expertise may be the same or even higher, but the cost is just lower. So why not do that? Basically, this is the very, very, if we also think about developers market, right? So nowadays, developers market, labor market in Eastern Europe is also booming. This is just one of the examples where the e-commerce probably will also be moving forward more and more. So the quality of the labor, like power, let's say, it's very high, and people are really very responsible, and they do love to work, and they put their soul into it, let's say. And the yeah, and just for the moment, not to repeat myself, due to the current situation, like with the taxes, etc., you're just getting the better product at the better price. I mean, the great product, but just at the lower price. So, which is more interesting.
Yeah, so just to summarize, open your mind, don't stick to what you've already done, look beyond that. Yeah, so there are some other places maybe where you can find those great talents.
Exactly.
And that's something that through ScaleJet, not to plug your service and offering, but I also think it helps to clarify what you would aim to do, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is being able to support sort of global reach for potential candidates, and then help to sort of navigate some of the market nuances where taxes being different here, or cultural expectations, or availability. I wonder, and I have sort of some of my assumptions as we look ahead to 2022 and marketplace dynamics. Amazon's opening up even more globally. Poland, as an example, just came online. Amazon Poland. What does that look like for remote work? Does that really make it almost a requirement to tap into some of the best talent? Or how should a business owner be thinking about remote teams in today's environment, or in the short term as they look ahead?
Great question. Look, Troy, I'm thinking about this since we've started like working for remote businesses. And actually, remote work has its challenges. This is correct. And you need to build processes, and you need to think how to make your work and your business, let's say, infrastructure more efficient for a remote work. But if we are honest with ourselves, with the technologies, with all the things that are happening nowadays, the remote work won't disappear. it's just impossible. We will never get back to the world before we had all communication means that we have right now. And this being said, let's think a little bit from the business owner perspective. What are the things that make us more competitive? Our processes, our products, and our people. If we are able to find those great people, and let's say we need some pool where we can do that, and all of a sudden, this, like, not a pool but an ocean, right? It's an ocean right now. This is like where you can go and you can beat your competition if you're open-minded, if you're ready to make this change, or you're ready to build your team in a remote base. And on the other hand, since it has been maybe 1 year, 2 years since the pandemic started, that many people understood that. Many people were forced to start working remotely, and they understood, hey, here's the thing. And now what we are seeing on the market is that remote work is booming. The war for candidates becomes more and more cruel. That's true, because on one hand, you can find people all over the world, but on the other hand, those candidates, they can find their jobs all over the world. And you need to be really competitive to convince a great candidate to go work for you. And this is another topic that I wanted to touch here, because when I was talking about the 3 stages, actually, the second stage is about attracting those qualified candidates. And this is where most business leaders who are not doing their recruitment professional face tremendous problems. If you ever spent hours and hours of your time trying to discover the right candidate in a pool full of unqualified talent, you might understand what I'm talking about, right? You'll most probably end up choosing the best person you could find at this time, but not the best fit for your job. So professional hiring is a very time-consuming process. And right now, going back to what we shared, if you are able to source people from all over the world, you can just multiply this. The effect will be a multiplier. So this is a challenge that business owners are facing with the remote hiring. And I can just share here that in our experience with our professional team, established funnels, software in place, years of experience that we have, we can do this, like, first stage heavy lifting for our clients to have their top players on board, let's say in 3 to 6 weeks. But if you are doing this on your own, you should be ready to be patient and invest way more time. So, and this is a challenge as well of a remote job, because you will be getting those applications from all over the world if you go that way. So as we were talking, it's better to define your market first, to narrow down this a little bit, so you don't go all over the place.
Makes sense. And you started to touch on too another point that brings me back to a prior question of mistakes, common mistakes that you see business owners making when it comes to hiring. And as you were touching on onboarding, that may be another area of exploration too. But I'd love to know sort of both of your answers of where have been the missteps, where through your experience you see common mistakes that owners make when they're ready to pull the trigger, ready to bring on that A player.
Yeah, I probably will start on this one. Ironically, the biggest mistakes that people make, and they happen at the first stage. So people do not take their time to really, as you've been sharing, like, take the situation like in a sober way, look at the situation and on their real goals, business goals, not just some imaginary goals, but real goals. So yeah, before people come to us to work with us, of course, they all have tried to hire themselves as well. But the biggest pain and this is what they are sharing once we go through our first hire, is the relief that they have, just because now they know that it all starts with setting up the expectations and the like description of this position in the right way. So yeah, I would say that this is, like the really biggest thing, the biggest mistake that people generally do, unfortunately.
Yeah, that makes sense. Before, just real quick, before passing it over to you, Oksana, one thing I would say, just from my experience of
Mhm.
having really great hires and having not so great hires, is I think it's important to sort of be your own consultant when it comes to um, going through the process. I think what you outlined in terms of that sequence of needs, goals, then specific roles, and the needs, like where you can sequentially sort of go through this type of process. But if you can do that, as well as sort of looking at your own situation, sort of remove yourself and say, well, if I was consulting this business owner, taking, viewing at your own situation and circumstance, applying the experience that or have seen or been through yourself, but then also saying, well, I would probably recommend going this route. When you sort of disassociate and sort of view the scenario and the circumstance completely, you tend to be more less biased, more informed, and more straight to the point in terms of just purely looking at things logically and rationally. And that can really help when it comes to something that you're still ultimately dealing with people. And obviously you want to put yourself right back in your own shoes when you're hiring or having the interview process or meeting and discussing with people. But being your own consultant can be a great way, a different stance, a different perspective that helps to inform making some of the best decisions for your business. And that's really worked out well for me. But just wanted to add that in there. Oksana, if you wanted to throw any other mistakes out there that you've seen.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And we've been working on our hiring process exactly from that perspective. How can we help uh, avoid mistakes? But where do the mistakes happen? So if we look at this from the perspective of what are the bottlenecks, what are the narrow places of hiring? First of all, not approaching this like professionally is a very important thing. If you think just about money, time, effort, business loss, that brings you a wrong hire, I believe you will take this seriously, right? So if you are serious about that, you need to understand that it's a very time consuming process, but at the same time, you need to take your decisions very fast. Why is that? Because great candidates, they never stay long on the market. If this person is great in what the person is doing, it means that the person will be hired really quickly. So you need to be very focused. You need to take this decision. So the main mistakes, they are coming from not understanding what helps you to make the right choice. First thing. Second thing, not having qualified candidates. I already shared a little bit about having qualified candidates. So you build your funnel in the same way as you're approaching marketing or whatever. You are interested to have qualified candidates. So you work on your job description, really outlining why the person should come and work for you. Make it really clear. So it sounds like this is the place I want to be. Another thing, put your expectation really clear in that job description. Talk numbers, talk achievements, talk expectation. Then once the person has it clear what is expected, the person can shine. So this is the mistake is very common of going, okay, I need to find some nice job description, just tweak it a little bit, put it for my job. That's it. I'm ready to go. No, you will never make a great hire that way. You need to talk to your person, and your person needs to hear you. These are 2 points that you need to connect with this candidate. So where do you go to look for these candidates? You should post, of course, your job. So right now we have plenty of means to do that, but you need to reach out proactively. Look for people proactively, contact them, share And because like the amount of information that people are getting right now is huge, need to be focused. So this way you work on having more qualified candidates in your funnel. And there are some tips that we are recommending to do. So if when you're working on your funnel, you're interested from the first step to bring the qualified people. So ask a couple of open-ended questions with an application that are specific and that you can right away understand if this is your person or not. Let's say you're hiring a PPC manager, or ask the person, what is your strategy towards the takeoffs, or something, why you're doing what you're doing. So mind your goals and ask those specific questions that the person can expand and you can understand. Make it very simple, like 3 to 5, not more, so the person so it doesn't take like hours of from a person. It can be done quickly and you can see what's in there, right? We recommend also to have a clear funnel for the positions. For example, what needs to happen for a person to go to the next stage? What are the clear indicators there that you can move? Have for technical position, we recommend having a test task, so you understand that the technical skill is there. We also recommend to have a top-notch interviewing process, and I want to expand a little bit more here. So in the interviewing process, have a scorecard. Build the scorecard based on your success criteria and involve a couple of people to share this interviewing process with you, so you can compare your vision of the position. So have these scorecards, so you base your decision on numbers, and in this way you can make your decision quicker instead of hesitating or consulting with different people. Make this number driven. As I shared, involve people from your team and collect all this information together so you can make this fast decision and not and avoid making those mistakes. So once you have scorecards, you have second opinion, you have clearly outlined objectives, and you check that the person meets these objectives. This will help you to make a better choice. I've been talking a lot. I believe Anna.
No, those are great insights, and that touches on too one of my questions. But I can see how it does so when it comes to making decisions faster. If you have this great pipeline, global candidates, building a remote team, how do you make the best decision or the right decision fast? And I think as you quantify, you get specific. I think that's a constant thread that we keep touching on, is having the specifics to where it becomes far less, much more black and white as to whether somebody is a good fit, because you have gone through and done your due diligence as a owner or a person that's ready to hire, and prepared yourself to a point where it becomes very clear whether somebody can fulfill that role, meet the goals that you've set, match a need, and be part of goal achievement for you and your business. So I think this has been a really great conversation. I think this really gives some insights as we think about 2022 and hiring, remote or otherwise. Even if I think a lot of the points we touched on really illuminates hiring in general. So I think with that, I'd love to ask for any final thoughts or words before we wrap up for a topic that I think is exciting. If you're thinking about hiring, my positive perspective is that you're addressing needs of a growing business. So it should be something that is exciting for you. But I'll hand it off to each one of you if there's anything else that you'd like to share when it comes to Finance MA players.
Yeah, so probably to wrap it up a little bit. So the like 3 things that you do need to have in place in order to make the that hire and to have that perfect A player in your team, there are basically three things. First, know who you need. This is the first one. Second one, have the scorecard for the evaluation in order to make the decisions. Third one, have the hiring system or the hiring funnel in place, just as you are addressing any other business process that you have in your company, because the flow of the candidates, you should be working with that. And getting the best candidates through this process. And on top of that, the final is be ready to invest time into this and address this professionally if you are going to be doing this on your own. And do make sure that all the three things that I've just mentioned are in place. Otherwise, you won't be competitive enough to hire top A players. So this is to wrap it up, from our perspective, and we do hope that we have shared useful information. And yeah, this is probably it from my side. Oksana, what do you want to say?
I think you nailed it. You summarized it in a great way. Just a couple of things that I want to add there. Think long term. Whatever you are doing, always think long term. Whenever you are building your company structure, whenever you are planning to hire, think about this person that will stay for years, how this will develop in your team. Think long term about your hiring process. Approach it professionally from the very beginning. Then you will not need to repeat it again and again. So think long term in terms of your candidate experience. Share feedback with them. What we do, like for our agency, it's an absolute must that 100% of our candidates, people who apply, receive feedback, because we are living in a world where information shares. So be mindful about your often is called employer brand, but this is just relationships with people who might be working for you later. So be mindful about that. And I would like to end this saying that we are very open to help. Any of you guys who need help, just send us a message. If you need a scorecard, a sample scorecard, or a simple test task, you can also find this on our website. We can share a link so you can download that information for you to use. Of course, you will need to tweak it to adapt it to your needs, but we can also share that. And this being said, I wish you all your hires to be a great success. People that sit with you at the table 10 years from now, building a great business and remembering where all that has started.
Great parting words. Well, excellent. Well, we'll make sure to include the link in the description with this video. And if we can just mention the URL where folks can find scalejet.com is the URL and website where they can get those resources, contact you and your team if they want to also work alongside you and hire and bring on some of those team players. So Anna, Oksana, thank you again so much for your time. People know now where to find you to work with you. And I think with that,
Boy, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you a lot.
Absolutely. Yep. Pleasure is mine. Thank you both.
Thank you so much.
And we'll see everybody in the next video. Thank you.
See you.